I'm Andrew Lee. I'm here with 1/3 of my life. I have Evan Cooke with us here from Twilio. He's the CTO, and we're here to talk about some open jobs that he has. So welcome, Evan. Or I guess I'm here, so thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for stopping by.
Can you tell us a little bit about Twilio?
Sure. Twilio is an API service, sort of like Amazon Web Services, except for communications, and in particular, voice and SMS. So if you want to automate the process of making a phone call or sending or receiving a SMS message, we have APIs that let you do that.
Very cool. I've heard about you guys. Do you have any information you can share on how big you are, how many developers you have using it?
Sure. Twilio was founded about 2.5 years ago. We are currently at around 16 folks, and we are currently growing the team in several areas.
All right. Can you tell me anything about financing?
Sure. We raised our Series A round in December, and so we have a strong runway and a really relevant product with a lot of traction. So we're looking to ramp up both the business and the engineering teams.
All right. I checked out your website before I stopped over, and I noticed you had a bunch of job openings. Can you tell me what all is available here?
Sure. So we have job openings in 3 main areas. The first is our core engineering team, which is responsible for the core platform, the Twilio APIs that really drive the Twilio platform itself. The second is the applications team, and the application team is responsible for services built on top of the Twilio APIs. And then finally, the business team, which is our sales and marketing organization, is also hired.
So I'm a web engineer, and as a web engineer, that front-end developer position you're describing, that sounds most interesting to me. So could you tell me a little more detail about that position? What are the responsibilities? What are the location for that job?
Sure. So one of the key roles that we have available is a lead engineer. And this is a lead front-end engineer who would be working here with us in San Francisco at our offices at 501 Folsom if you live in the Bay Area. And their responsibility are a wide variety of web technologies. So Twilio is a platform, and as such, we integrate with lots and lots of different customers and involve Twilio inside their business processes. So that means we need to be able to speak all sorts of different web languages. For example, we communicate with Java, with Ruby, with Python, with C#, with ASP, and a host of other languages. So what we're looking for is a lead engineer who really understands the web and understands a broad range of these different technologies and is able to lead development on our applications team.
Okay, you mentioned earlier that you're looking for a superstar. Is that the word that you're looking for?
I think it's safe to say a superstar is someone who would be able to understand these technologies and be able to architect some of the projects that we're working on right now. And so someone we're looking for might have experience developing some existing open source projects, perhaps even starting or maintaining one of those open source projects.
Okay, so describe the typical day for this new engineer. Let's say you find the perfect candidate.
Sure. So at Twilio, we have a weekly meetings on Monday to get the team in sync, and then we set our goals and priorities for that week. Engineers have a very flexible work style, so if they like to work remotely in the mornings and then come in the afternoon, that's fine. It's a very merit-based job, so you can come in and it's a very flexible environment. We have food here, free drinks, and we have a dinner brought in some days and lunch other days as well.
Would this new engineer be reporting to you?
New engineer would be reporting to the applications team lead.
Okay. Can you comment on the management structure?
Sure. So we have a very flat management structure at the moment. There's basically 3 teams, and each of those teams has a team lead. So we have the business team, and we have the applications and the core team. Each of those has a lead.
Okay. So what hours would they be keeping? Do you guys have a set of core hours here? And what are those?
Sure. So we don't actually have a set of core hours, but this is a startup environment. So that means that people work pretty hard, but they love it. We love what we do, and we do it because it's fun. So it can be a lot of hours, especially when we're trying to push out new code. But we're also very flexible. If people need to take time off, then that's fine as well.
Okay. Can you compensate on the compensation?
Sure. So compensation is very competitive in the Bay Area. We believe in a couple of things, and the first is that the way that you get good engineers is that you compensate them well. So we believe in compensating our engineers well, and in particular, giving them a stake in the company. So we believe in giving engineers a significant portion of equity to keep them motivated, as well as feel like they have a stake in the company and the successes of the company.
Sounds great. That's what I would expect from startup. Let's say someone wants to apply, but they don't live here in the Bay. First, would you be interested in someone working remotely? And second, would you be willing to relocate someone out here if they did want to move?
Sure, great question. So first of all, this job is a Bay Area job, so we are asking people if they're interested to move to the Bay Area so that they can work closely with the team here. We're absolutely willing to consider relocation if that's necessary.
So let's say I'm sitting at home and I see this interview and I'm really excited about the job. I'm excited about Twilio. Let's say I'm a developer. I've used Twilio before. How do I know that I'm the right candidate for the job?
That's a great question. So there's a couple of things you can do. The first is go to twilio.com/jobs. And we've tried to highlight some of our culture. We have photos of the team as well as a description of some of the other engineers on the team. And you can take a look and see if you might like to meet this person. The second thing is we have a lot of public APIs, documentation, and things like that. So check out our API. Go build a Twilio application. In fact, that's part of the application process, is building a cool Twilio app. So go out and build an app. And if you like the API and you'd like to design APIs like that, then we'd love to have you.
Have you guys been using that pool of developers to recruit from the past? Have you actually been going out to developers and saying, hey, you guys wrote a great app, do you want to work for us? Have you done that?
Absolutely. In fact, some of our best engineers started out being developers on the platform.
All right. Do you have a preference for specific degrees, or do you have a preference for new grads versus people with longer experience in the industry?
It kind of depends on the role. So for example, the lead engineer role that we discussed, we're kind of looking for someone who has more experience. However, if that means you've been programming since the age of 2 and you happen to write this amazing Node.js framework or your own native Node.js server, then great. We'd love to chat.
That's not as funny as it sounds. And let's say I'm watching this interview and I fit the description that you just gave me. And I go to the website and I download your API and I try it out. It works great, and I think I'm really the right guy for the job. What can I do in my application process to make me stand out to you?
There's a couple of things. So first of all, we discussed the use of the Twilio application, and we'd love people who apply to show us their skills and build something cool with Twilio. The second thing is we ask that you provide a cover letter, and while that does sound standard, we do read every cover letter, and so you have something interesting that you've done, we'd love to hear about it. And if you have links to open source projects, please put those links right there. If you have code samples, send us those code samples. What we love to see is people who have done it in the past and they have examples of the work that they can show that they understand this stuff, they've done this stuff before.
All right, well, thanks for taking the time for the interview. It was great to meet you. I'm excited about this developer role. This is Evan Cooke with Twilio. I'm Andrew Lee, and this is 1/3 of my life.